in the last, let's say, 8 years, I've had about 8 jobs, probably. Some of those are very, short term, but the longest I've ever been in a job is about 2 years, right? But our parents' generation, my parents' generation at least, they see that as weird because they went to college, they get one job, they keep it for like 10, 20 years, or they keep the same job, like my dad worked the same job for 20 years.
I guess it's different. I don't know. I feel like these days it's more important for both husband and wife, or both partners in a couple, to be working, if not full-time, close to it, just to be able to afford life, rent and mortgage payments and things like that. And, I'm at a point where I'm considering having children in the near future, so a lot of thought goes into the differences between my parents' generation, where my father was able to work and my mother was able to stay home part of the time to help raise the kids. It doesn't seem like that will be as easy for our generation than it was maybe for theirs.
And I feel like the roles are definitely changing. Fewer mothers are housewives. I know, like, when I was growing up, most kids I knew, like, their moms worked, and it was unusual that mine didn't. And I think that's only going to continue. Like, I know personally, even if I marry and my financial situation is well enough off that I don't have to work, I'm still going to want to. Like, I can't imagine a time in my life when I'm going to be content with, I don't want to say simply being a housewife, because it's a huge responsibility, and I really admire people who do that, but I don't think it'd be right for me. And I feel like I would always need something else to stimulate my mind. And I feel like a lot of women are going to be like that, because we're all raised kind of to think that way and to think for ourselves and to work.
I mean, my father was the breadwinner. He worked, and he worked, a lot of weekends as well. And yeah, my mum was the one who was at home with the kids, and even when we went off to school, she was looking after my sister and what have you. But I mean, an example is when we first came to New York, it took me, it was more of a choice than anything else. I decided to, with our youngest son, to spend some time with him when we actually came to New York, to sort of have a look around the city and acclimatise and what have you. And there was very much a sort of an attitude of, why are you doing that? Whereas actually I quite enjoyed the time with, he was about 18 months to 2.
You want to be only dad doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I went,
There's a woman around.
It was kind of interesting going to various sort of child activities. Everybody who was there was either a mum or a nanny. I didn't meet another father doing the same thing, which is quite interesting, I think, is, even in what you describe as a modern city, still those attitudes are still fairly strong, that, father goes and works and mum looks after the kids,
I've never experienced it myself, but I've heard of there being a reversal in that maybe the wife, due to more economic opportunities for women in society these days, is able to work full-time, and then the husband is able to stay home and maybe devote a little bit more time to child rearing. I kind of like that idea.
I see there's more like fathers that's like more stay-at-home dads than ever, I guess, and I would necessarily, categorize myself as one, but I mean, if it happened, I wouldn't mind being, I guess, a stay-home dad. I definitely could see that nowadays, that people do it more often.
Yeah, all of these questions are sort of very important to me these days, because I'm making that transition from sort of young adulthood into real adulthood.